Starbucks, the symbol of the urban generation, of the sophistication in a morning cup of coffee. But in just a few years, millions of Americans stopped entering the store with the mermaid logo. The problem is, they're not boycotting because of the high prices, but because of a more bitter truth. Starbucks is no longer coffee. A Frappuccino contains over 30 grams of sugar, more than Coca-Cola. A 600-calorie coffee, enough energy for your lunch. And while the taste gets worse and worse, the price keeps going up every year. The empire that once defined American coffee culture is now excluding itself from the game. So what really happened? And why is Starbucks, the giant that once captivated the world, losing its very soul? Please sit down with me. Pour yourself a real cup of coffee. This story will make you never look at Starbucks the same way again. What if the coffee you drink isn't actually coffee? It sounds unbelievable, but it's true. Try stepping into a Starbucks store. Hundreds of cups were being mixed continuously, and the air was filled with the aroma of caramel, vanilla, and chocolate. It smells good, it's sweet, it's charming, but it's hardly coffee anymore. I don't know if you've noticed this, but today most of Starbucks' best-selling drinks are more like desserts than coffee. A grande caramel frappuccino sounds fancy, but it's essentially a blend of milk, whipped cream, syrup, sugar, and just enough caffeine to keep you from falling asleep. Main ingredients? It's not coffee, it's sugar. A small frappuccino contains over 30 grams of sugar, more than a can of Coca-Cola, and that's just the small size. If you choose a venti cup, you're consuming nearly 60 grams of sugar, which is equivalent to 14 teaspoons. Enough to make the dentist scream and enough to make you want to come back tomorrow. Starbucks calls it the coffee experience, but on closer inspection, it's a chemical formula designed to be addictive. Synthetic vanilla flavoring with no real vanilla beans. High fructose corn syrup, something Americans once tried to avoid in fast food, and stabilizers, thickeners, and smoothers to make it taste better. That's not a coincidence. That's consumer behavior science, where every cup of coffee is calculated with the perfect ratio of sugar, fat, and caffeine to hit the pleasure center in the brain. A gentle kick is enough to wake you up, but it's accompanied by a sweet sense of satisfaction. And when the effect wears off, you want to come back again. They turned coffee into candy and convinced you that it's a sophisticated lifestyle. A barista is no longer just a coffee maker, but a mixer of industrial flavors. A cafe that once symbolized sophistication now resembles a candy shop with a caffeine injection. Ironically, while nutritionists constantly warn about ultra-processed drinks, Starbucks has built a $0 billion empire on those very beverages. And we, the busy adult consumers, drink it every morning, calling it the energy to start the day. Actually, we're having a liquid dessert. The scariest thing? We don't realize it when it happens. From the first shot of strong espresso, Starbucks gradually added cream, milk, syrup, and color until the true coffee flavor was buried under a layer of artificial sweetness. The perfect trap. The further we are from the truth, the more delicious it seems. But the bigger question is, when the real flavor is gone, what are we still buying from Starbucks? Caffeine? Habit? Or is it the feeling of belonging to something, even if it's just an illusion? The answer is in the next section, and it's even scarier than the amount of sugar you just drank. There's a little noticed truth. A cup of Starbucks coffee used to cost less than $1 to make, but you're paying $6. And you know what's strange? We know that, and we still pay. Because Starbucks makes us believe that's the price of convenience. Since 2009, they have increased prices almost every year. When asked, the reasons are always very reasonable. Raw material costs are up, rent is up, and employee wages are up. Sounds familiar, right? But here's the twist. Their profit margins continue to expand quarter after quarter. What does that mean? That means they're not just covering costs. They're squeezing out more profit. And the one paying for it is you, the person who lines up every morning with sleepy eyes and an open wallet. Starbucks understands human psychology better than psychologists do. They know you won't argue over another 20 cents for the brand because you'll tell yourself, oh, well, it's just coffee. But 20 cents a year for 15 years, multiplied by billions of transactions every day, That's the most sophisticated pricing strategy in the world. And have you noticed that even the prices are going up, the quality isn't getting any better? The coffee beans were burnt, the flavor was still bitter, and the cream was still loaded with sugar. So what are we paying extra for? For the blue logo? For a few minutes of free Wi-Fi? Or for the feeling that we are part of modern culture? Let's compare. At a local coffee shop, you can buy a freshly ground, rich-flavored cappuccino for just $3. At Starbucks, an artisan latte costs $6 and is made with beans that have been stored for a week using an automatic machine. They call it a premium experience. I call that a masterclass in marketing. And if you've ever tried ordering a drink with a few small customizations, a little oat milk, less ice, or an extra shot of espresso, you'll understand what it feels like to be taking a crash course in financial testing. Add 60 cents for oat milk, 75 cents for an extra shot. In just a few taps on the app, your cup of coffee suddenly costs more than lunch. But you still pay. Why? Because you believe convenience is worth it. But in reality, you're not buying convenience. You're buying a habit. Starbucks doesn't sell coffee. They sell ritual, a morning rite. Walk into the shop, hear the sound of the grinder, wait for your cup to be called. A ritual that makes you feel like you're doing something for yourself. But when that ritual becomes an obligation, and each time you perform it, you lose a few more dollars, then perhaps it's no longer convenient. The question is, if what we call convenience makes our wallets thinner, our coffee worse, and people more distant, is it still convenience? Or is it just a sweet trap mixed with sugar, caffeine, and marketing? There's a very simple question, but few dare to answer it truthfully. Is Starbucks coffee good? Let's be honest. If you've ever grimaced after the first sip, you're not alone. That burnt, slightly acrid feeling in your throat. Yes, you're not imagining it. Coffee experts have been saying this for years. Starbucks over-roasts its beans. Too bad. Too long. To the point where, if you roasted the beans for a few more minutes, you could probably use them to heat your fireplace in the winter. They do this not because of a particular taste, but because of a global survival strategy. The darker the roast, the more consistent the flavor. So whether you drink it in New York or Tokyo, it's the same. The problem is, same doesn't mean delicious. In the past, coffee was an art form. The barista will grind each batch of fresh beans, listen to the sound of dripping water, and smell the aroma spreading through the air. Now you walk into Starbucks and what do you hear? The sound of industrial blenders and automatic coffee machines. One press of a button, a few dozen seconds later, beep! Your coffee lie was born. Effective? Great. But the flavor disappeared long ago. I remember once trying to compare. An espresso from the small shop on the corner, beans roasted 3 days ago, hand-brewed with a delicate aroma, and a Starbucks signature roast. The beans might have been sitting in the warehouse for 6 weeks. The result? On one side is art, on the other side is industry. Starbucks has succeeded in standardizing the experience, but unintentionally they have also standardized mediocrity. And this is what's remarkable. A lot of people realize the taste is bad, but they still come back. It's not because they like that burnt bitterness, but because they're addicted to the familiar feeling. That Starbucks flavor isn't coffee. It's the taste of memories, of habits, of feeling safe in chaos. But if you've ever had real coffee, the kind with fruity notes, a natural hint of acidity, and a lingering finish like wine, you'll understand the disappointment when your first Starbucks cup touches your lips. It doesn't have a single bit of the coffee bean's soul left. All that remained was a burnt, heavy bitterness and uniforms. Starbucks once said, "We sell consistency." That sounds interesting, but when every cup tastes the same and has the same blandness, the price of consistency is the complete sacrifice of the soul. They have transformed coffee from a sensory experience into an industrial product. An item that needs to be consistent, fast, and easy to program, just like how they train employees to mix with machines instead of by hand. Baristas today are no longer artisans. They are the operators of the automatic coffee machine. One press of a button, and the illusion of coffee art is born. There's a saying in the roasting world, when you can't taste the bean, you're just drinking heat. And that's what Starbucks is today. The only thing you taste is the temperature of the assembly line. Imagine a morning at any Starbucks. The coffee machine whirred. The order printer is beeping constantly. A long line of customers are waiting, their eyes unfocused, holding their phones. The barista looked like they had just run an emotional marathon. One hand holding a cup, the other pressing the machine, calling out orders, and the brain trying to remember who ordered a venti oat milk, macchiato, extra shot light ice, no foam. Each cup of coffee, which should have taken only 3 minutes, now takes 20. Starbucks was once called the third place, a space between work and home, a place to connect and breathe. But now the third place looks like the third shift for both employees and customers. Customers are tired of waiting, the staff are tired from trying to appear happy, and the brand is tired of pretending to still be the Starbucks of old. When you enter during peak hours, the scene resembles an industrial assembly line more than a coffee shop. Online orders overflowed the counter, with dozens of cups crammed together, each with misspelled names: Michael, John, Kat. Every time the barista calls a name and no one responds, a little more of my soul shatters. The irony is, mobile order technology was created to save time, but now it takes away from the experience. You're not talking to anyone. No greeting, no smile, no, how's your morning? You just grab a cup, scan the code, and leave, like a caffeine-trading robot. Starbucks used to be a place where people wrote novels, met friends, or just sat and watched people go by. Now try sitting there for an hour and see. The cold light, the sound of order printers, shift changes for employees, the suffocatingly fast pace. The feeling of belonging somewhere is now just a coffee factory wearing a humanistic brand mask. A former barista once said, "We were trained to smile even when yelled at, even when we ran out of milk, syrup, or energy." Starbucks built an empire on those smiles. Smiles that were programmed, paid by the hour, and sometimes diluted by tired tears. And you know what's strange? Customers can feel that. No words are needed, just a glance, a cup of cold coffee, a muttered thanks that no one heard. Starbucks doesn't just burn coffee beans. They even burn the belief that people can still connect over a cup of coffee. Starbucks was once hailed as a people-centric company. Employees are called partners, not workers. Their logo, the smiling mermaid, once symbolized joy, connection, and new beginnings each morning. But what about now? After years of global expansion, Starbucks is no longer a coffee company. It's a financial corporation, a machine powered by data, stocks, and KPIs. Let's start with a number. The CEO of Starbucks last year received $113 million. That same year, thousands of employees had to work overtime, there was a staff shortage, and some stores had to temporarily close due to system exhaustion. The question is, when the CEO earns over $100 million while employees have no time off, is Starbucks still a company for people, or has it become a company for shareholders? Starbucks currently operates over 38,000 stores worldwide, and if you pay attention, they all look exactly the same. Same sign, same lighting, same wooden wall design, and the same authentic Starbucks aroma wafting through the air. But the only thing that's not the same is the person inside. An employee in Seattle is struggling to make 200 drinks during the morning shift. Another employee in Texas is smiling despite having to work overtime due to staff shortages. A barista in London said they only have 45 seconds to complete each order. Everything at Starbucks is programmed, from the amount of milk poured into the cup to the number of seconds the milk is frothed. All of this is aimed at achieving absolute uniformity. But that uniformity, that's also what drained the human soul. Starbucks once advertised, "We're not in the coffee business, we're in the people business serving coffee." We're in the people business serving coffee. A beautiful slogan, but now hearing it again, it just smells of irony. They no longer serve humanity. They serve performance indicators. Humans are just software running on the assembly line of profit. And if you've ever wondered why a global brand is losing touch with its community, the answer is very simple. You can't mass-produce emotions, you can't standardize a smile, and you certainly can't buy the human soul with KPIs. Starbucks used to be the third place, the place you went to feel connected. Now it's a corporate place where everything is optimized, automated, and empty. Starbucks didn't just automate its coffee, it automated its workforce. And somewhere between profit and perfection, it lost the only thing that made coffee worth drinking, the human touch. After all, when the burnt taste has cooled, when the fake smiles have gradually faded, something beautiful is happening silently. A revival, not through an advertising campaign, but through the smell of real coffee. Across America, small coffee shops are popping up, little by little, on every street corner. Not a chain, not a franchise, no app, no rewards program, only humans and coffee. There are over 38,000 independent coffee shops operating in the United States. And the interesting thing is, they're not trying to compete with Starbucks. They simply do what Starbucks has forgotten: roasting fresh coffee beans, brewing by hand, and calling customers by their real names. Stepping into a small cafe, you'll immediately notice the difference. The smell of freshly baked bread, the soft chatter, and the golden light that feels like morning itself. The barista remembered what you ordered yesterday and asked how you've been lately. They don't need a logo. They don't need an automated process. They just need to listen. And you know what? People realize that. Customers who have been going to Starbucks for 10 years are returning to the small coffee shop at the end of the street. They said, "I don't want to buy coffee anymore. I want to chat." They weren't just looking for caffeine, they were looking for a lost connection. There, you're not just Order 47, you are Sarah, the one who likes extra foam. It's Mike, who always reads the newspaper on Monday mornings, being a real person in this overly industrialized world. While Starbucks races to open 1,000 more stores, these small shops only need 10 square meters and a heart. No KPIs, no shareholder meetings. Only the aroma of coffee wafted from the roasting oven, soft laughter echoed from the corner of the table, and the feeling of being back. Some cafes even serve seasonal drinks: jasmine cold brew in the spring and real roasted pumpkin cappuccino in the fall. No artificial flavors. They organize indie music nights, poetry readings, drawing sessions, or simply provide a space for someone to continue writing an unfinished manuscript. What Starbucks calls the third place, here it's still alive. And the best part? The younger generation is choosing again. They are willing to pay for real quality, real stories, and real people. A movement is forming, the Reclaim Your Coffee movement. Starbucks built a world where coffee became a product, but these little cafes, they're building one where coffee becomes human again. Maybe we didn't lose the coffee. Maybe we just left it, waiting for us in a small cafe down the street. Starbucks was once an icon for an entire generation. The generation of hurried mornings, of laptops open in the corners of cafes, and of the feeling, I am doing something meaningful. They don't just sell coffee, they sell an illusion of belonging. For 2 decades, Starbucks has become the third place between work and life, a part of the urban identity. Americans meet there, work there, fall in love there, and break up there too. Starbucks is not just a brand, it's a culture. But then, over time, that very culture was crushed by them. Convenience outweighs truth, speed makes the experience disappear, and uniformity makes the human feeling disappear. Today's consumers, especially those who grew up with Starbucks, are starting to wake up. They no longer believe in mass-produced premium cups of coffee. They no longer want to pay extra to buy the cool feeling they once craved. They want something more real, a cup of coffee made by a real person with real flavor, in a real space. No logo needed, no points app needed, no illuminated menu board needed, just a real conversation. And this is the most terrifying thing for giant brands. When people begin to awaken, they are no longer loyal to logos, but to values. Starbucks once symbolized urban freedom, but now true freedom lies in the small cafes, where you can sit for hours without being pressured to buy a second cup, where you can feel the clinking of spoons against cups, the aroma of coffee spreading, and a sense of peace that needs no advertising. What's happening is not just a brand boycott, it's a cultural shift, as consumers turn away from artificial things and rediscover the simple things that once made them happy. We are living in an era where authenticity is the new luxury. And those small cafes, those handcrafted cups of coffee, are how people reclaim a piece of their soul that has been commercialized. And perhaps this is something Starbucks will never be able to measure. Emotion. No algorithm can measure the taste of memory or the scent of connection. Coffee is not just caffeine. It's the moment people look at each other through the morning smoke, the way you start your day with true meaning. Not a QR code. Starbucks once taught us that coffee can be a lifestyle, but now small cafes are teaching us that coffee is only truly worth it when it's made with sincerity. So what about you? Do you still feel connected every time you walk into a Starbucks? Or are you also looking for the true flavor in some small corner of a cafe? Please leave your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your story. If you find this video helpful in seeing things from a different perspective, please like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss real stories about people, culture, and the things changing the world around us. This video is not intended to attack or defame any organization or individual. All content and perspectives are built from public sources, reflecting current cultural trends and consumer behavior. The sole objective is to encourage awareness, dialogue, and social awakening. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next videos.